Hi, this is again Mohammed Aziz, and we are with our next session of Python. Today, we will basically look into the functions, the arrays, and the lambda of Python, and we will see how those are being used and what are the syntaxes and what are the definition of those things. Okay, so first topic for today is arrays. Arrays, to understand arrays, let me first give you an example. But to start with this, I can say array is basically another data type of Python. So for example, we have multiple cars. So I can say a variable car one equals Ford, car two equals BMW, car three equals Mercedes. Now we are storing the same type of data. I mean, Ford is also car, BMW is also car, Mercedes is also car. Why we need these three different variables? Instead of creating all these three different variables, I can have only one variable and store all these three cars into one variable. This is called array, where you actually save same data in not the same data, but different types of it can be different types of data as well into one variable. So let's create that one. So I will say cars and brackets and then Ford, BMW, and that's it. This is your array. So this is a very good utility to use. And now if I print it and Shift F10 to run this program, so you will see at the bottom that it has been printed out. So more what we can do with the arrays, we can perform multiple different operations. For example, I can have the length of the array. You see the length of the array is 3. I can even access a single parameter, a single index of the array like we used to do in our previous lectures. So cars, I will say 0 and run it. See, it has printed Ford. And what else I can do? I can also remove an item from the array. So cars dot remove. So I will say let's remove Ford, right? Now if I will print these ones instead of the index, I print the cars. You see, we have only two items. Moreover, we can also append the items and an extra items into an array like cars dot append. I can say like Tesla and run it. So now we have BMW, Mercedes, and Tesla. Instead of running all these things, we can also run the loops on the array. So to run the loops, what I can do, can use a loop for x in cars int x, and I will remove this one. Now, if I run this, you see all the three items BMW, Mercedes, Tesla has been printed out here. So this is what about arrays. It's a good functionality, a good utility, the data type which will is being used a lot in all of the different languages and also in Python. Our next topic is functions. The functions is nothing but it's a block of code, a block of lines of code, or statements, which only runs when we call them. For example, my name is Mohammed and I am a function. So if I'm there in between a lot of people, I will just stay alone and I will not do anything unless someone call me with my name. Then I will definitely give my attention to that person. A very simple real life example. So these are what the functions are basically doing. To define a function in Python is very easy. So you just use the keyword def, define, and I will say my function, and it will definitely going to, like I will say print into my function. That's it. And this is the brackets I have to place. Run it. See, nothing happened. Why? Because I didn't call this function, right? So to call this function, what I need to do, I will call it here, and now I will run. So you see, the welcome to function has been printed out in our console. So if I run it again and again, it will now call 3 times. So in here 3 times has been printed, welcome to my function. So this is a very good utility basically, where you have to define some piece of code which you want to use again and again throughout your code. So what you do, you can define basically a function which helps you, that you don't need to rewrite the code again and again. Instead, you can just call. Moreover, a function can take some parameters. For example, if I give a parameter to this function, functions can also take parameters. Like in this case, if I just want to pass a parameter, first name, and here I will just remove this one and add this first name as a parameter. So when we are calling this function, we can add the parameter, right? And if I call this one, you see Mohammed has been printed in my function. And if I do like that and call this, now we have two printouts, the name which we have passed. Moreover, we can pass multiple parameters, right? And here I will say last. Okay. And now I'm going to pass the second parameter. And in the second example, I will not pass the second parameter. So it is saying the parameter last name is unfilled in this case. Let's see what will happen. If I run this, you see, we must provide the both parameters for this one. So I'm going to pass the second one, and now it runs. This is a utility of functions, which will also be used in all of the languages pretty much a lot. Our next topic is Lambda functions. Lambda functions is very great utility, is basically to relax your code and to make the lines of code reduce. It's also being used a lot. The Lambda functions contains only one expression, but it can take a lot of, maybe multiple, any kind of parameters in it. So let's create once our first Lambda function. If I say x, the variable equals Lambda, and I will say the parameter which we I want going to pass it. I'll say a. This is the one parameter I will use, and what you will do, just a plus, I can say 5, and that's it. So now run it. For example, if I want to run this Lambda function, what I will do, print x, and I will say 5. It should print 10 because the 5 is the parameter which we are passing, and what it will do, it will just add to this 5 for us. Now I am going to run it. You see 10 is the value which is there. So we can also make multiple different parameters for this. If I just want to go with 3 parameters, I will add a comma b comma c, and I can do like a plus b plus c, and it will return after all these 3 values to us. Now we have to pass 3 parameters to this Lambda function, which will be 5 plus 5 plus 5. And if I execute this code, you will see it's printing 15 for us. We can also perform different actions over here, like a plus b multiplied by c. And if I run this one, you see it's 30. So this is a Lambda function. The give you a utility that you can perform like this, which has only one expression but can take as much parameters as we need. So far this was our fourth session, and we have almost covered our general purpose Python language. So if you took all those 4 sessions, you can say that, yes, I know Python. Not only the Python, but you can also program in any other language as well, because we have seen variables, types, condition statements, repetition statements, different kinds of the data types which are available inside the language, and functions, etc., etc. So in the coming days, I will basically record more sessions about object-oriented programming, and we will try to go more in deep of this Python and also see how Django works together with the Python if you want to make a beautiful web page using the Python. So if you like this session, please subscribe, and I will see you in my next session. Thank you. Bye-bye.